Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now I'm in a similar position to Dave, and with lockdown and you can only go somewhere local, I've kind of exhausted all the options for local trails. Obviously you've seen previous videos of me um, going to the local woods, sessioning some jumps, etc. It's all kind of been filmed, and once you've seen it, well, you've kind of seen it really. So what I thought I would do is I would come back into the workshop, and one thing that they don't tell you when you own multiple bikes is you have to look after multiple bikes. So what I thought I would do is I would create a series of videos that take you through some of the maintenance that I have to do on some of my bikes. Now that could be as simple as maintaining the gears, changing cables, all the way up to something like a new tubeless setup or bleeding brakes, something like that, where I'll try and video as much as I can, talk you through the steps that I do, and hopefully it'll help you out if you ever want to do some more of the kind of home mechanics type stuff. So on my Santa Cruz Bronson today, I actually have to change the gear cable out. The shifting is somewhat well, ruined actually. So without any further ado, let's crack on. First off, please ignore the state of the drivetrain. I know it's filthy and it really does need a clean. But if I put the clutch back on, you'll see that if I start pedalling, it downshifts no problem. However, I really have to push the lever over it. There it goes. And even then it's not very happy. So let's just stop that. I'm hoping that a simple cleanup, changing the gear cable, will help. Now I'm fortunate that on this bike, this outer cable runs the length of the bike, and although it's internally routed, it does mean that I should be able to just pull out the old inner cable and replace it with a brand new one. Now the easiest way that I've found for changing a cable, certainly for the rear mech, is to put the gears into the smallest cog. There we go. And then that means that all of the tension in the rear mech isn't working on the cable. So it means that when we snip the cable or unscrew it, nothing's going to snap back at us and cause any bodily harm, should we say. So yeah, let's get rid of this old cable. Now hopefully you can see just above my finger there is a tiny screw. Now in order to get the cable out of the shifter, we're going to need to undo that, and all being well, because we're in the lowest gear already, the end of the cable should already be there, and we can then push it through from the bottom and remove it. Nice and easy. Helps if you have a magnetic screwdriver. That aside, and then yep, so I can see that the cable end is showing, so what I can do is just push the cable from the lower bits. With any amount of luck and a bit of jiggling, we should be able to pull the cable out. Bear with me. There you go. Got there in the end. The reason that didn't work for me the first time was because I didn't have it in the harness gear. We'll gloss over that. So I then should be able to once the cable's coming out, I can then, all being well, pull it out. Okay, so now I've got my new cable, and hopefully it'll be as simple as threading it back through. Now, one of the top tips that I got from mechanics I used to work with when I used to work back in the bike shop was to get a little bit of lube, a little bit of wet lube, and actually just run it down the cable like so, just to give it a bit of a coating like that, and then it just helps for slightly smoother shifting. Another top tip, always have a rag available. Right, let's see if this works. So then we're just going to thread the cable back, hopefully, through and already I can feel that that's much easier. But now that it's come out the other side, I can just pull that through. There we go. And while I think about it, I'm just going to replace this little bolt. Okay, nice and easy. Right, so now that I've got the cable all the way through, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread it through the top of the mech to begin with, and then join the outer cable to that, so that sits in there quite nicely. And then what I'll do is I'm going to thread it through where the bolt is, which clamps the cable. Right. And then I'm going to get some pliers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on the cable and create some tension on it, so I take up any of the slack, and then I'll tighten it up with the Allen key. So like that, pull on that, and then just tighten. And one last time. There. Great. Perfect. Okay, so in theory we should now have some decent gears, although they might need a little bit of indexing after this, but we'll see. Well, they're certainly better, and it's a lot easier to shift, that's for sure. They do need a little bit of indexing. They're not quite shifting perfectly, so we can adjust the tension on the actual cable itself. So in order to do that, there's a barrel adjuster on the shifter, and that can increase or reduce the tension on the shifter. So what I tend to do is I go for the smallest cog to begin with, and then basically do a little bit of tension to begin with. So what I'll do is I will shift into the next one, and if that works, then great. Obviously it's struggled a little bit, so I'm going to go with a half a turn on the barrel adjuster. And what you want to do is, in order to add tension, you want to twist it forward towards the bike, and to reduce the tension you want to obviously roll it the other way. And again, then once I've done that half turn, I'll go back to the smallest cog, and then I'll try again, and we'll work our way up the cassette until we get to well, perfect gearing, shall we say. What I don't want to do is put too much tension into the cable that means then I can't downshift. So there is a sweet spot in the middle. It's just a case of going through and finding it. actually pretty happy with that now. However, because I've got a little bit of time, I'm actually going to leave it in. I'm going to push it into the big cog there, and I'm actually going to leave that overnight. And what I'm actually doing there is I've obviously got the cable under tension and I'm stretching it. So what you might find is when you change the cable, you index your gears beautifully, and then a couple of weeks later, you know, your gears are all over the place. It's just because the cable's stretched. So one of the things that, and again, I picked up on from mechanics, is actually if you've got a bit of time and you're not in a rush, then leave the bike overnight and leave it in a high tension gear, and then we'll come back to it and we'll readjust anything that as it might have stretched overnight, and we'll readjust the indexing on the gears. So I'll see you in the morning. Morning. Well, it's the next day. I've got a nice cup of coffee in my hand. So let's finish off the gears. Okay, so now that I've left that overnight, what I'm going to do is just run through the gears again and make any fine adjustments using the barrel adjuster on the shifter. I suspect that I'll have to increase some of the tension because this will have stretched a little bit, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So as before, all the way down to the bottom, on the bottom cog, and then up to the next one. That's worked quite well. There you go. So that's not even drying. So we'll add a little bit of tension until that goes up. There we go. Right, I'm really happy with that. So that's hopefully stretch the cable a little bit more. So when we're out on the trails now, the cable won't stretch as much. So what I'm going to do now is snip the rest off that and then put a cable end on, and we should be good to go. My cable end, so obviously keeping in theme with the orange, and we'll just put this on. And there we go, nice and neat. And we have much better shifting. Much easier, love it. So hopefully you found that video useful, if nothing else. I must stress that I am by no means a professional mechanic in any way, shape or form. I've just learned how to maintain my own bikes. This is the way that I do it, find it works. If there are any videos that you want me to make around maintaining bikes, that may be something you're struggling with, please leave a comment down below and I'll see what I can do. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button for more content like this, and we'll see you in the next one. I must stress that I'm not a qualified mechanic or anything. I have quite a few years experience doing who knows what. It can help you guys out with your being words. Blah, blah, blah.